Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one, the only beloved Zebec network. Now, listen, today is going to be a technical analysis video. We will discuss, what the previous weekly candle meant. We will also discuss a couple of other things like the short-term price action and if I still expect for 2026 to be the main moment and highlight of Zebec's freaking career. Well, career, whatever you want to call it, right? Anyways, listen, rank 137 out of 9,373 active cryptos, 365 million market cap, 10 million volume in the last 24 hours. So not much volume at all, but that is fine, right? Usually when you have a really low amount of volume, that usually does indicate some type of reversal signs. Listen, we're already at 87,250 holders. Okay. So I'm telling you guys, we are growing at a massive, rapid rate. And I seriously expect to get to is 100,000 holders by December a lot? I think no, that's a little crazy. That is a little crazy. If things it really depends on the ISO 20022. If we get approved for that and if we make it in time with the deadline, but definitely around 93 to 95,000 is what I expect by the end of the year. Because seriously, sometimes we jump in holders like 2, 3, 400 a day, and that can really compound, right? That can really compound. So, the goal will be to get 100,000 holders by the end of the year. But like I said, November is going to be a very crucial month for that. When we go back, we can see overall in the last month, we're up 5.77%. Overall, we have just been ranging, and we've been ranging for some time, which we're going to discuss when I pull up the charts. We can see that there's still no Coinbase or Binance official listing yet, but I do believe it is going to come very soon, and I do believe, just like Kraken, Coinbase and Binance will follow. Over the last week or so, we're up 2%. So nothing really happened. If you left a week ago and came back now, we'd only be up 2%. And that's pretty good considering we were down for majority of the week. In the last 24 hours, we are down almost 3.5%, right? A little bit more than that. We can see a temporary drop, but nothing too crazy. When we go and look at the technical analysis, right? We have been looking at Zebec and we have been saying pretty much that, hey, look, right? We had this huge institutional candle back in October of 2025. I mean, I don't know why I said this way. October 10th, right? October 10th, we had this huge wick. Now, we did expect this whole zone to get taken out for some time, right? We've been talking about this zone ranging for at least a month, if not more. So, getting this liquidity sweep, seeing this zone, boom, and boom, get taken out. Now, did we expect a 40% drop? No, not necessarily. I thought maybe we can tap somewhere into here. Boom, right? So that's where I had some of my limit orders. I had one over here at 0.0033, and I also had one a little bit lower at the 3.1 area. Okay, so I still got very nice discounted prices. But I did not expect, of course, to be going back into this order block right over here, this sneaky little order block right over here, this daily candle. But look, like I said, when I see these types of things, this overall makes me happy with Zebec because all I see is pure classic manipulation, which I love. This is what you want in your crypto, okay? For the people that understand trading, right? If there are any traders that watch this video or at least know a decent amount of knowledge, right? You want to be seeing institutional type trading in the coins you hold, because if you're not, right, then you're not really in the system. So seeing something like this really always does make me happy. It really does make me proud. We can see that we did have another little drop manipulation happen on the Thursday, but we quickly started to recover and we started to actually build some type of support over here. And we can see we started to break to the upside. Now, look, I do personally think that either A, we will be holding over here, or we will be going just a little bit lower before we continue to go to the upside, right? I did say last week how, I do believe this weekly candle will overall be fairly green. I did say, the beginning of Sunday, Monday, we could see, the beginning of the week, we could see temporary pullbacks to then go further up, okay? Overall, right, when we go to the other weekly candle, it actually ended up pretty good, right? we had a bearish candle here, bearish here, and we were at one point bearish down here at 0.0032. But by the time the end of the week happened, we actually flipped from 3 bearish candles in a row to finally getting one small blue one. So we can see every time we start getting a small blue one, usually historically we do get some type of pullback at the bare minimum. Like I said, I do probably expect for us to go upwards of the 0.0049, right? I've been saying this for some time, actually. Even 2 weeks ago, I was like, maybe we could see some type of pullback there. So that's the main thing I'm looking for. And you can see, right, usually when there is some type of selling pressure, you start getting buy candles, right? You see some type of reversals, right? Lots of selling pressure, one buy candle, selling. Next thing you know, right, the buying candles are kind of small, kind of weak, but before you know it, it's reversing. And that's always kind of happens, right? They look kind of small, they look kind of weak, but it's actually with purpose. It's actually with a lot of purpose. So I am going to be looking for that. I am going to be looking for some type of pump. Now, this is mainly the main zone where I think we're going to be retesting off of, like I said earlier, right? We could be retesting off of this trend line over here, plus coming back down into this little imbalance. So this is what I'm looking for, probably another 3 to 5% drop for Zebec before we continue to rally up and go to the top end of our range, right? This is the top end of our range because if you are not aware, we are kind of just getting squished from both sides, truly, right? We are kind of getting squished from both sides. When we do something like this, right, you see we tap into multiple zones, tap into the zone, tap into multiple zones. So we are getting squished, right? We are getting squished. And I do see, like I said, some institutional play here. So like I said, I expect overall this week, or if not this week, probably the start of November at latest, just because we are kind of in a tricky timeline. We will be, yeah, this weekly candle will be heading into November, right? We could see up to November 2nd. So it's going to be a weird timeline. If this week is still slow, then the beginning of November. Either way, within the next 1 to 2 weeks, I overall expect the Zebec to be pumping upwards of, like I said, 25% even. So yeah, if you are a short-term trader, that is something you could be looking out for. Overall, I'm very, very bullish on Zebec in the long term. We can see when we go to the monthly candle, we are literally in an awkward spot. Look how small this is, right? You might be thinking, well, why is it so small? That means there is an equal amount of buying and selling pressure at this time. Like literally, right? It just looks like a line. So here we can see back in May, clearly blue was buy. June was sell, right? July was buy. August was sell. September, it was buy. You could tell. You could still tell. It was very little, but it was still a thing. But look, now we're literally flatlined. By the time October finishes, there's a chance that we just may have flatlined. And that's because there's going to be, like I said, a huge decision made for Zebec very, very soon. So the market makers are just waiting. The institutions are just waiting, right? Will we get the ISO 20022 approval or not? It's why we're stalling out, right? That is the reason. Plus, we are coming to the end of the 6-month candles and the yearly candles. So usually there is a little bit less momentum, but overall, right? Overall, I expect good things to be happening for Zebec Network. In the long term, worst case scenario where we pull back, I think we would go down to 0.0029, right? If we were looking to retest out of the range a little bit, more of a fundamental support. But I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. And if it does, I will definitely be stocking up. Next thing, like I said, is overall, I'm just expecting to see short-term buys, yeah, that's practically it. Unless something changes, right? If we do not see a reaction off the 0.0046 or the 48, and we have very, very strong candles, then maybe we are going to start breaking out of the range. But I really, really doubt that, as I do think everything I just said in the past minute or two is extremely valid. And I do believe, we just have to be patient at this point. But yeah, that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.